What is meant by particles? Particles are tiny, invisible bits that make up everything around us. Think of them as the tiniest building blocks of matter, like really, really small pieces of sand or dust. Everything you see, touch, or breathe is made up of these particles, and they can be atoms, molecules, or even smaller bits like electrons and protons. What is meant by atoms? Atoms are the tiniest building blocks of everything around us. Imagine them as the smallest, invisible Lego blocks that make up everything you see, touch, or even breathe. All substances, like water, air, and even you, are made of these tiny particles called atoms. They come together in different ways to create all the stuff in the world. Are all things made of atoms? Yes, all things in the physical world are made up of atoms. Atoms are the fundamental building blocks of matter, and they combine in various ways to form molecules, compounds, and everything around us. Whether it's the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, or the objects we use, they are all composed of atoms arranged in different combinations and structures. So, in a broad sense, you can say that everything is made of atoms. What is diffusion? Diffusion is the natural spreading out of things from where there are lots of them to where there are fewer. It happens because particles like to even out and spread around on their own. Think of how a smell spreads in a room or how sugar dissolves in water. That's diffusion. Here are some simple examples of diffusion. Perfume in a room. When you spray perfume in one corner of a room, you can eventually smell it throughout the entire room. This is because the scent molecules are diffusing through the air from an area of higher concentration, where you sprayed the perfume, to areas of lower concentration. Food coloring in water. If you drop a few drops of food coloring into a glass of water, the color will slowly spread and mix with the water. This is diffusion in action, as the food coloring molecules move from where they are concentrated to even out in the water. Hot tea cooling down. When you pour hot tea into a cup and let it sit, the heat spreads around, causing it to cool down. Heat particles, or thermal energy, move from the hot tea to the cooler surrounding air through diffusion. Ink on a paper. When you place a drop of ink on a piece of paper, you'll notice it spreads out in all directions. This is because the ink molecules are diffusing into the paper, moving from a concentrated spot to a less concentrated area. These examples illustrate how diffusion occurs in everyday situations when particles or substances naturally move from areas of high concentration to areas of low concentration, leading to a more even distribution. Example of diffusion in cells. One simple example of diffusion in cells is the movement of oxygen and carbon dioxide across cell membranes. In our bodies, cells need oxygen for energy production, and they produce carbon dioxide as a waste product. Oxygen, which is more concentrated in the bloodstream, diffuses from the blood into the cells where it is needed for various cellular processes. Simultaneously, carbon dioxide, which is more concentrated inside the cells, diffuses out of the cells into the bloodstream to be carried away and eventually eliminated from the body through respiration. This exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide across cell membranes is a crucial example of how diffusion operates at the cellular level, allowing cells to obtain the oxygen they need and get rid of waste gases. Example of diffusion in plants. During photosynthesis, plants take in carbon dioxide, CO2, from the air through tiny openings called stomata on their leaves. Inside the leaf cells, CO2 diffuses from areas of higher concentration, outside the leaf, to areas of lower concentration, inside the leaf, where it is used to produce glucose and oxygen. Conversely, during respiration, plants use oxygen and release carbon dioxide as a waste product. Oxygen diffuses into the plant from the air through the stomata, and carbon dioxide diffuses out of the plant and into the air through the same stomata. This diffusion of gases in and out of plant cells helps them carry out these essential life processes. What is meant by concentration? Concentration simply means how much of something is in a certain area or space. For example, if you have a lot of sugar in a small cup of water, the sugar concentration is high. If you have just a little sugar in a cup of tea, the sugar concentration is low. So, Concentration tells you how crowded or spread out something is in a particular area. What is meant by high concentration and low concentration? Give examples. High concentration means that there is a lot of something in a certain area or space, while low concentration means there is only a little of that thing in the same area or space. Here are some simple examples. High concentration of sugar. If you add a lot of sugar to a small cup of tea and stir it, the sugar concentration in the tea is high because there's a lot of sugar in a small space. Low concentration of salt. If you add a pinch of salt to a big pot of soup and stir it, the salt concentration in the soup is low because there's only a little bit of salt in a large space. High concentration of perfume. When you spray a lot of perfume in a small room, the air in that room has a high concentration of the perfume because there's a lot of the perfume smell in the room. Low concentration of people. Imagine a big park with only a few people scattered around. The concentration of people in the park is low because there are only a few people in a large space. What is meant by equilibrium? Equilibrium means a balance or a state of evenness. In simple terms, it's when things are steady and don't change. For example, think of a seesaw or a teeter-totter. When both sides have the same weight or at the same height, it's in equilibrium, it's balanced, and it doesn't tip one way or the other. In science, equilibrium often refers to a situation where different forces or factors are in balance, and there is no net change occurring. For instance, in chemistry, when the rate of a forward reaction equals the rate of a backward reaction, a chemical reaction is said to be in equilibrium, and the concentrations of the reactants and products remain constant over time. Equilibrium means everything is balanced and not changing. We hope you liked this video. In case you liked, please hit the like button and subscribe for notifications to get updated. Comment on what lesson you would like to see in your next video.